Do the Democrats have the ability to not jump on everything that Trump says?
We're going to have to. And I've been beating the drum about this over and over, that if everything feels like a five-alarm fire, then in turn, nothing is going to feel like a five-alarm fire. And we don't have the same degree of energy to resist Donald Trump as was present in 2017. And so inherently within that, we have to figure out how to pick our battles. And I think that there is some understanding of that. The folks that I've talked to just in the few interviews that I've done since the election, whether it's Brian Schatz, whether it's Amy Klobuchar, a lot of these people are repeating the same points, that we have to figure out where to pick our battles. And that means that some things that are normally going to be considered disqualifying are going to happen anyway. Some people who would normally be disqualifying as nominees are going to get confirmed anyway. But the onus is on us to figure out where to pick our battles, which hills to die on, because we just don't have the energy and we don't have the numbers to raise a stink about everything. And so we have no choice but to figure out where to focus our energy.
In today's video, Brian Tyler Cohen absolutely destroys Chris Cuomo in a heated debate over media bias, Democratic strategy, and political accountability. This no-holds-barred exchange shows just how easily Brian Tyler Cohen dismantles Chris Cuomo's false equivalencies with facts, clarity, and zero tolerance for spin. Let's watch how Brian Tyler Cohen dismantles Cuomo's arguments in this must-see political clash.
And by the way, that's what I view my job within the broader messaging apparatus of the party as being, is figuring out how to make sure that Democrats aren't waking up every single day and going healthcare, abortion, gun safety, climate change, and when we're just kind of throwing messaging left and right, really nothing sticks at the end of the day. To their credit, Republicans have been really effective over the last decade, it feels like, where I can only presume that they wake up and go into the morning meeting and figure out what they're going to talk about that day. And this way, everybody's coordinated. This way, everybody's organized. And so starting at 5 a.m. with Fox and Friends, all the way to Judge Janine and Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity at night, they're saying the exact same thing. And so, of course, this messaging gets seared into the brains of their supporters, whether they're watching on Fox or OAN or Newsmax or Rumble.
They picked the right set of 60-40s. So in politics, there's a practice called the 60-40, which is certain issues break 60-40. Like what? Allowing kids any kind of control over anything medical, let alone trans surgery. It's just 60-40. Parents are like, no, that's crazy. And Democrats will then argue the nuance and what it's really about, but it doesn't matter. The argument's over. This is why they hit the trans on that and on the trans community's participation in sports. It's a 60-40 split. Nobody wants even the idea, even if it never really happens, just the idea has a 60-40 split to it. And they poached on all of those issues. And you're talking climate change, gun safety. These are all on the 40 side of propositions. Climate change, well, what does it mean? Because it seems to mean a limitation of something I want right now, which is going to put me on the 60 side. Like, for instance, EVs. Mandating EVs. How does Elon Musk wind up with Trump when he stands the most to lose from how Trump feels about EVs? Because he knows that he's on the 40 side of the 60-40 split, Elon, and that you got to have every kind of fuel source being tapped instead of saying you have to use just one. That's what the Democrats have to get better at, seeing where the majority is on things and not seeming like you're against the majority.
Brian Tyler Cohen gets it right here. Democrats don't need to back down on issues like climate, gun safety, or abortion. What they need is sharper messaging and stronger follow-through. Chris Cuomo tries to act like Democrats are always on the unpopular side, but that's just not true. The numbers show it. The majority of Americans support universal background checks, reproductive rights, and investment in clean energy. The real issue isn't the agenda, it's the delivery. While Republicans repeat the same talking points from morning to night, Democrats often bury the lead. Brian Tyler Cohen calls it out plainly. If the message isn't focused and confident, it gets drowned out. And that's exactly how Republicans keep winning the narrative, even when they're pushing policies most people don't even want. Like, Chris Cuomo misses that this isn't about giving up ground, it's about owning it with clarity and purpose.
Yes, and because for a lot of Democratic issues, they're already on those sides of the issues, and that's why when they're present as standalone issues on ballots, like at ballot measures or ballot initiatives, like overturning right to work or abortion or legalizing marijuana. These are Democratic positions that far exceed the performance of Democrats themselves on these ballots. I think what Democrats have to get better at is not just embracing the 60 side of these 60-40 issues, but also figuring out how to message them in a way that people actually know that the issues that you support are also going to be enacted by the party that you don't support.
Right.
And so, a big part of that, by the way, is the asymmetry in the media ecosystem. The left, the Democratic Party for so long has relied on legacy media as our message distribution system, and they're not. In fact, legacy media, mainstream media bends over backwards to prove that it's not liberal media. How many times did the New York Times run front page cover stories on Hillary's emails? They are not on our team. The same way that Fox is on the Republican Party's team, that OAN and Newsmax are on their team, that InfoWars and Megyn Kelly's show and Daily Wire, they are on the Republican Party's team.
Digital media is overweighted to the right. I would argue legacy media went after Trump in a way that, did as much favor for Biden as anything did. But I appreciate your point. I think you're right on the digital side specifically. And that's why one of the reasons I love you, by the way, and my father would have loved you. I don't know where Andrew is on you, but my father, I can't tell you how many Democrats in your generation talk to me about your party like I don't understand it. Like I don't know what it is to be like, which I find so offensive that I don't even address it because I don't know how to address it without being physical. So, but my father.
Are you suggesting that the Cuomos don't have any legacy with?
We don't have any. We don't have any DAP anymore. It turns out as Democrats, which is kind of weird. But except at the convention where they kept showing clips of my father, the who and the how of the messaging, I want to talk about a little bit. The Maddow effect. I always called Rachel the professor when I went against her at CNN. So smart, such a high level of erudition and research. She could talk about whatever she wanted at night that was totally not on the news, and it would still work with that audience because they just wanted her take on things that were appreciated by existing Democratic beliefs.
Brian Tyler Cohen nails the bigger picture here. Strip away party labels and Democratic policies consistently win minimum wage, abortion rights, legal weed, even in red states. But Chris Cuomo misses the real issue. It's not the platform, it's the narrative. Democrats are letting Republicans dominate the conversation while clinging to media outlets that are obsessed with appearing neutral. Brian Tyler Cohen calls out the imbalance perfectly. Fox News, Newsmax, the entire right-wing content machine is basically a 24/7 PR team for the GOP. Democrats have nothing close to that, and legacy media still stuck pretending both sides are equally bad, even when one side is literally attacking democracy. Just compare the coverage of Hillary's emails to how little attention major policy wins actually get. Chris Cuomo tries to defend that media system, but Brian's point cuts through one side is playing propaganda, the other is playing defense.
And that's also why she was losing audience to me and to Fox, was because the mistake of the smart Democrat, and there is a high degree of intelligence on the Democratic side. Now, a lot of it has been co-opted by, in my opinion, culture wars. But the condescension, the arrogance, the you're an idiot, so let me see if I can bring you along to where I am because I'm much smarter than you, was a huge problem for Democrats that Trump wound up benefiting from because of how bad his language is and how rough around the edges he is and unsophisticated. And it made people feel better about being against this level of sophistication. You, conversely, get that. And you are not Rachel Maddow. You are smart. You are well researched with what you do, but you do not make me feel bad about it. You do not talk down to me. And I think that that is a fundamental thing that you guys have to learn. And I think Kamala read really condescending to people. And Americans may not be the most studied, but they're really sensitive to being stupid.
Yeah.
And that's a tough spot. Do you recognize that within your own persuasion?
Yes, I mean it's clearly like an issue, a very visible issue within the Democratic Party, like on the left, is that there is a degree of even for me as a content creator, if I step one step left to center and say something incorrect or even misquote something or whatever it is, I mean I'll get completely beat up. Democrats love to lecture other Democrats. Democrats love to scold. And I think that's something that we have to get over as a party because, you know, to your point, I mean, you catch more flies with honey, right? And I think that we have to recognize just basic sociology, just basic how to reach out to people, how to make people feel like they want to be part of your coalition. And you know, look, I'm guilty of it too, because I think that most of the stuff that falls out of Donald Trump's face makes him sound really fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard not to just say, this guy's really fucking stupid. And that the people who support him, therefore, are stupid. But I think that that's something that we have to figure out how not to do. And in fact, the thing that I've been focused on over the last couple of years is not to blame people who believe Fox News when they lie on Trump's behalf, for example. It's to appeal to them in such a way that says, like, look, these people are lying to you. Have more respect for yourself than to trust people like this who are going to lie right to your face. I mean, I often say in my videos that it feels like the Republicans' biggest enemies are the Democrats, but in fact, the people that Republicans have the most contempt for are their own supporters, that they're willing to lie to them for years and years and years about certain issues that have no basis in reality. I mean, this idea that the 2020 election was stolen, first of all, there was no basis for it for the last 4 years. They didn't win a single lawsuit that proved any semblance of fraud. But then the fact that okay, let's humor this idea and let's say that Democrats did have the ability to rig an election. Did they just forget to do it in 2024? And I mean, they completely let go when Trump won. And so this thing vanished like a fart in a hurricane after Republicans were beating the drum about this for years and years and years. So I would ask their supporters, either do you recognize that you were lied to over these last 4 years when Republicans manipulated you, when the Republican Party manipulated you into thinking that there was fraud as a way to either curry favor for themselves, present themselves as the victim, be able to enact voter suppression laws, whatever it was. This was just a vehicle to get people to buy into something that was completely bogus. And so that's just some microcosm of a broader problem. But I think the way to go about doing this is to not show any disdain for the people who supported Trump, because I think, you know, in large part, people only know what they know. And if they watch right-wing media, for example, which often operates as a hermetically sealed bubble of information, they're not going to get the whole story. And so you can't blame these people for only knowing what they know or not knowing what they don't know.
This is where Brian Tyler Cohen really separates himself, not just from Chris Cuomo, but from a lot of Democratic voices. He doesn't excuse Trump voters, but he doesn't insult them either. He calls out the real problem. A party that lies to its own base, then blames the public when they believe it. Chris Cuomo keeps focusing on tone. Brian focuses on truth and how to deliver it without pushing people away. That's not weakness, it's strategy. And he's right about the other issue too. Democrats waste too much energy attacking each other over purity tests, while Republicans stay laser focused on power. That has to change. Brian Tyler Cohen isn't just offering critique, he's modeling how to actually reach people and build a coalition that can win. Chris Cuomo, once again, misses the point. What do you think? Is Brian Tyler Cohen's approach the future of Democratic messaging, or is it too soft on a party that lies for power? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you liked the breakdown, Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.